Stepmom wants to use my inheritance to fund stepsister wedding with my ex, so I told everyone that. Story 1. I'm 21 and female, and that too with my ex Adam. Well, I'd always been an industrious young woman, because I was born into a working-class family. I understood the value of hard work and saving up from an early age. My father, a saint of a man, sadly passed away when I was just 15, leaving my mother and me to get through life on our own. It was tough, but with the multiple jobs that she was working, it was going all right. I never had to ask for anything, look anywhere else, or even take up a job. I never slept hungry and never wore anything older than 3 years of age. My mother's parents were pretty well off, too, but my mother had married a man that was not of their financial status, so they cut her off. They came along eventually after I was born, and they actually even supported me and Mom a lot after Dad passed away, and provided her with plenty of money. For some reason that I would find out later, the money was never put to use. My mother was grieving for quite a long time, suffering from depression, and my father was a great person, and it was difficult to find any faults whatsoever in that man. He never let me or my mom cry, and his departure left my mom empty. She saw a therapist that my grandparents funded and recovered to look after me. My mother got remarried a few years later to James, with a daughter, which is my new stepsister, Lila. James had Lila with his girlfriend Carrie when they were both teenagers, and they felt the pressure to marry and create a family. As soon as they found out she was pregnant, they got married for Lila's sake. Well, Carrie spent most of her pregnancy with her parents, seeking their help and support. When Lila was born, Carrie and James moved in together and navigated the uncharted, rough waters. It was not smooth sailing for them. They very quickly realized that they were incompatible and would not get along much longer. Within a year, they divorced each other on mutual terms, seeking joint custody. After many years, they were still on amicable terms and did activities together with Lila. James met my mother at the grocery store that she was working at, and they got married right off the bat, hitting it off instantly and splendidly. Lila came to live with us too, and she was like a real sister to me. I took care of her and helped her through high school. Lila is naive, not really understanding manipulation or seeing when someone's playing her. Mom and Lila formed a lovely attachment to each other, and we soon fell into a comfortable routine, settling in and becoming a tight-knit family. Me, Mom, Lila and James lived together for a while, happily. My grandparents passed, leaving Mom a house, a luxury car, I won't say which one, but it's British and rhymes with Kentley, and a huge inheritance that would last her and our next couple of generations. Being the only child, their entire empire went to her, and she sold it off at the highest valuation she could ever get because she was incapable of running it. Well, James knew this, but nobody else did, not even me. We were all content and relaxed like your average suburban family. Carrie would regularly visit ours and have tea with us before taking Lila with her. Carrie formed a strong bond with my mother, though my mother was still weary of her sometimes. My life, however, took an unexpected turn when my mom passed away in a trust fund until I turned 21. James informed me, however. James told me to keep it on the down low, for my own safety, and to protect me from manipulation. I wish I would have listened to James. Then I would not have been telling you all my story. I was all alone in this world, but James has been the strongest father figure in my rock ever since. While I was grieving, I also had my then boyfriend, Adam, help me through it. I was in college and just needed a lot of support, which Lila, Adam, and James did provide. I lost 4 of my loved ones, all in a span of 5 years. Carrie started coming around more out of concern for Lila, who also lost her stepmother. Once, while we were all having dinner, I disclosed a fact quite casually that I had a hefty inheritance waiting for me at 21. I thought these people I could trust, but Adam and Carrie's demeanor completely switched that very night. In fact, I broke up with Adam only a couple months later because he kept persisting that I spend all my money on our future. He demanded the 2 of us move into my grandparents' house, sell off the car and live vicariously, and unemployed. He told me to invest all my money in crypto, and that we'd travel the entire world with no responsibilities to our name. When I disagreed, he often got offensive and slightly violent, nothing too serious, and I couldn't let it slide. I broke up with him and blocked him everywhere, making sure he would not show up wherever I went. Seeing the potential financial benefits, the person whom I thought genuinely cared for me absolutely stabbed me in the back. Carrie became progressively more manipulative and controlling, and attempting to convince me to hand over my inheritance. She'd become almost as persistent as Adam. She claimed I would not be able to handle my own wealth, and was living like a poor normal person for no reason at all. She said that for my own good, I should let her take over the money, and that she'd ensure a lavish lifestyle for me and Lila. She'd tried out many manipulative tactics to convince me to hand over my money, and she'd talk about the financial struggles she and James faced after my mom passed away. She'd paint a picture of their difficult circumstances, drawing out the sacrifices these two made to provide for me and my stepsister, Lila. Of course, this wasn't ever with James around to hear her bullcrap. Carrie tried to make me indebted and guilty for having inherited a literal treasure. She'd constantly talk about the financial strain my inheritance removed from our family. She'd mention the various expenses and bills that needed to be paid, not so subtly implying that my inheritance could just alleviate our financial burden. Whereas, the women did not pay a single bill. In fact, no one even asked her to be there. She could leave, but she was there for her own selfish reasons. She intended to make me feel responsible for the financial well-being of her household. Furthermore, Carrie would play the flattery card, making false promises to control my emotions. But you know what? I'm no fool. Did she really think I'd just roll over after hearing her sweet talk? She'd praise my, quote, generosity and selflessness, spewing nonsense about how my decision to hand over my inheritance would demonstrate my love and dedication to the family. When that did not work, Carrie also tried some, quote, isolation tactics to exert control over me. The woman was literally watching these weird tutorials on manipulation on my laptop. She'd stop me from discussing my inheritance with James, asserting that it's a private matter that should only involve us. Overall, she was unsuccessfully trying to exploit my emotions, guilt-tripping me and using flattery to convince me that using up my inheritance was not only a responsible choice, but also a demonstration of my love and commitment to the family. Meanwhile, my poor darling Lila was being brainwashed by freaking Adam. I thought I'd cut that shriveled jerk off, but he was instead manipulating my stepsister. One day I was shocked to discover that Lila, my stepsister, was engaged to my ex-boyfriend Adam. I had not really told Lila of my grounds for the breakup, and we had not really talked about it because we were both busy with college, and she had her own boyfriend. I'm guessing that ended dope, obviously, because lo and behold, Lila was with Adam after only a couple months of us breaking up, and they're engaged. Our relationship had been a serious one, but it ended due to Adam's constant pressure on me to spend my inheritance on our future together, something I was not ready to do. I could not believe that he'd switch up that quickly, hopping onto Lila and manipulating her. Lila was my best friend in my world. I simply could not understand why she'd do this. It appeared that Adam had now managed to convince Lila of the same dream, a dream financed by my hard-earned money. He'd fed her false narratives, claiming that he was the one who broke up with me to be with her, and that I'd given them my blessings. She assumed I knew, and this went on for God knows how little time before he rushed her into marriage. He went as far as to tell Lila I had enough money to sustain their lavish lifestyle, and I'd give them my money to spend on traveling across the globe. Lila thought all this time that I'd promised him all this, not knowing that he was being a plain manipulative jerk. I knew Lila was naive, but this was just freaking dumb of her to not come with me with this, or at least ask. I didn't have it in me to say no, but I definitely was not giving them the money that my past 2 generations worked their butts off to earn. So I pulled Adam aside and berated him. I warned him to back off and stay away from my baby sister. I informed him that he would not be getting a single dime out of me, and that he could just saw it right off. In turn, he pulled the most unexpected crap over me I've ever seen. He blackmailed me that he'd make Lila pregnant and just desert her. Ah, that's right, ruining her life and breaking her heart in the worst way possible. I was stuck, but no matter what, I was not giving this man anything. In a stunning turn of events, though, Carrie proposed that I fund Lila and Adam's wedding using my inheritance. She told me that they would celebrate with grandiosity, making the event celebrity-worthy. She sat this in front of Lila, who lapped this all up out of her palms like an excited puppy. Even James, oblivious to her manipulation, seemed to be on board with the idea, calling it an ideal relaxing vacation that he needed. Well, I was dumbstruck at the audacity of the proposal, making me question my relationship with my new family. I called Carrie out right then and there, telling her to back off. I was tired of her practically begging for my inheritance. I told her I saw right through her act, and that I even had the proof of my YouTube history, that she's watching those silly isolation tactic videos on my laptop. So I revealed to James all that she said about me being a burden and her guilt tripping. James was shocked and asked Carrie whether that was true. Carrie just shook her head no, and I rolled my eyes at her. I looked at James once more, pleading with him silently to understand the frustration behind my outburst. But before I could see the reaction, I stormed off, packing a bag hastily and moving to my grandparents' home. As I stood there, weird assumptions and thoughts just swirled around in my brain. I'm now wondering how to wake Lila from delusion and convince James that Carrie was trying to hog my money. I can't let Lila marry Adam either. I suppose I will retaliate soon. I'm still in my grandparents' home, away from any drama. I've been working from here nonstop, comfortably and luxuriously. James came to meet me the other day. We talked for quite a bit, actually, and I got to learn a lot. He revealed that the reason that he and Carrie separated in the first place was that she was too hungry. Carrie wanted money, fast, and James could not give her the life that she wanted so soon. Carrie realized that, so they parted amicably on mutual agreement. And they defined their own boundaries, and Carrie crossed hers when she tried to get involved in my life. James mentioned that he warned me to keep it a secret before this whole debacle happened, and was pretty angry that I ended up ruining my relationships because I told people about this. He claimed that I spoiled my support system and uprooted all the unconditional love from my life. He was not happy that I trusted those people and chastised me for hasty decisions like that. Well, to be honest, I agreed with him, but told him to stop right there, and that whatever happened was for my best. I said that I was grateful it rooted out all the untrustworthy and greedy people in my life, and I'm happy I found out. Though I was manipulated. I told him I've learned through my mistakes now that I'm steering clear of selfish people. I told him I did not regret it one bit. He found my reasoning fair enough and agreed with me. He apologized for getting a little carried away, but I just shrugged it off, knowing he was just concerned for me. He then went on to the topic of Lila. James told me to take it easy on Lila, who's very confused and doesn't know who to believe. She doesn't know anything about Adam yet, and I realized that. James told me she thought I reacted too harshly on Carrie's casual suggestions, and that Carrie was just looking out for me. Well, Lila needs clarity, but I'm not sure I want to explain how she was played by her fiancé and conniving mother. I'm now ready with my plan to retaliate, and I'm going to carry it out next week. I'm excited to expose these crappy exclusive people. Update number 2. Hey guys, so I underwent the plan. And it was so successful, well, for the most part. For my plan to work out, I had to gather proof that Adam and Carrie were working together, because I was sure as heck already knew they were in it together. There's no other way that they could draw the same conclusions, trap Lila, and manipulate the same victim individually. So I hired a private investigator to check upon them. And sure enough, they were talking about how they'd slithered back into my life with apologies and try to be more subtle this time. They were planning on finding, quote, dirt about me to blackmail and exploit me. They called me names and giggled like schoolgirls, according to the private investigator, then decided to give some dirt, hired an actor, and give me a pretend drug. It looked like cocaine, but it was talcum powder in a sachet, behind a dumpster every day. These two weren't very slick, you see. I saw them taking photos and following me around, and I told James about the plan, and he told me to be careful. Soon after, Adam approached me, apologizing for blackmailing me, but I secretly recorded the conversation, making sure he admitted to coercing me and was planning on getting Lila pregnant and deserting her. Carrie also came over the next day. Gosh, talk about subtle. I would have figured it out even if I didn't know. Anyways, they decided to hold an engagement ceremony at my mansion, of course. I readily accepted, however, right before the ceremony I backed out. Then Carrie informed me snidely that she found out about my little drug problem. Of course I was getting this absolute gold on tape. She blackmailed me yet again, telling me to go through it before she declares me mentally unstable and takes my money. It was quite hilarious. Within the minute they walked in, though, they knew something was up. Nothing was decorated the way we discussed, and there was a huge banner saying, "You've been played." All the guests, especially Lila, were very confused, and then I revealed my plan. I first revealed that Adam and Carrie were meeting behind everybody's back, showing pictures on my projector. Then I explained my side of the story to all the guests. I displayed the video of Carrie blackmailing me about the cocaine problem. Carrie was aghast. She couldn't speak. She then just fumbled through her purse, pulling out the pictures of me taking white powder from a man. All while Adam was signaling her to stop. I just laughed and showed everyone the pictures. There were murmurs across the room, some accusing me of substance abuse even. So, I fished out a packet of the so-called cocaine from my pocket and blew it at her face. She sniffed it, then paled. I then brought out the actor and explained how I had to prove that they were keeping tabs on me to blackmail me and I was in danger. Well, after that the crowd cleared out pretty fast, and Lila ran out crying. James just shook his head, hiding his amusement, and rushed out after her. Carrie and Adam scurried out without any eye contact, so yeah, that's my revenge. Update 3. I decided to tell Lila what Adam had told me in secret because I thought it was important for her to know about the true intention. So even though she was skeptical of me, I approached her with caution, booking a reservation at her favorite restaurant where we could have an open conversation. I first explained verbally what happened, but she refused to believe me, so I sat her down and pulled up the recording. As I shared Adam's words in his own voice with Lila, I could see the shock written all over her face. She had not been aware of his plans involving my inheritance, and that's pretty damn obvious. I asked to order a drink for her, but she said no. That raised some alarms. Lila would never refuse alcohol. To my utter surprise, Lila opened up and revealed her own dilemma. She told me that she had not gotten her period this month and she had a pregnancy scare. But she made it pretty freaking clear that she was not ready to have a child at this point and would have to do something about the pregnancy. Well, was forced and not with her consent. It seemed that my advice to break up with Adam had resonated with her and led her to ditch that idiot. Update number 4. So Leela was pregnant, but she got rid of the baby. Adam's now completely gone from her life, and if he's back, she'll drag him to court for tampering with contraception and causing pregnancy without her consent. After the whole debacle at her engagement, Leela cut off Carrie from her life and is maintaining a little distance from me too. When it comes to money, she's worried that it'll irk me if she tries to come too close. She thinks I feel like I'm under attack from anyone who comes close, and that my wealth has changed me for the worse. She refuses anything from me, and she always meets at her apartment. She told me the other day I was jumpy around my money, and that I needed to recognize that not everybody's out to get my money. I told her I never accused her, but I think we'll work through it. James found my revenge childish, and expected me to take the high road. He was amused by my little game, but we still hang out every week. Turns out I'm the only one who was left with riches. Mom left plenty of money for James, too, and he's saving it up for an early retirement. Carrie left me a message saying I've ruined her life, and that nobody will talk to her. Well, that's what you get. Karma, I guess. I quit my part-time job and I'm studying most of the time. I'm planning on building my own startup and developing an app right now. I donated a fraction of my inheritance to various charities, and I hope they do justice to my funds.